Inside every body lies a story, a secret written in flesh, bone, and blood. Some call it science, others call it fate. But every cell remembers, and every symptom speaks. Welcome to the Anatomy Vault, where medicine meets mystery, and the human body becomes the map to its own horror. If you're here, it's not by accident. You're searching for answers in the places most people are too afraid to look. This story is a chilling reminder of how fragile we are, and how fiercely the body can fight back against an unseen enemy. This is the disease that devoured the face. Before we unlock the vault, like this video and subscribe. Your support helps us uncover more of these incredible medical mysteries. Somewhere, another soul is searching for what the body is trying to say, and you can help them find it. Now, let's begin. There are places in the body where medicine still whispers instead of speaks, where textbooks close their pages and surgeons pause before they cut. This is one of those places. This is a story about the face. Not the one you show the world, but the one beneath it. The architecture of bone and tissue that holds your identity together. And what happens when something decides to unmake it? They call it Noma, from the Greek word meaning to devour, not metaphorically, literally, a disease that consumes the face from the inside out. It begins in the mouth, a small lesion, a tenderness along the gum line you might mistake for an infection. Something ordinary, something fixable, but within 72 hours the tissue begins to die. Not from the surface inward, but from deep within the flesh, where blood should flow but doesn't, where cells should repair but can't. The necrosis spreads like a stain through wet paper, silent, aggressive, irreversible. The children feel it first, a numbness, then a strange loosening, as if the muscles of their cheeks have forgotten their purpose. Their mothers notice the smell before they see the damage. Rotting flesh has a scent that memory refuses to release. It clings to the back of the throat. By the time the wound becomes visible, entire sections of the face have already been hollowed out. The cheek collapses inward. The jaw loses its anchor. Teeth fall into the void where gums used to be, and the eyes remain, watching, aware. Noma doesn't discriminate by geography alone. It hunts the vulnerable. Malnourished children in sub-Saharan Africa. Those whose immune systems are already fighting wars on multiple fronts. Measles, malaria. The body stretched so thin that when this opportunistic infection arrives, there's nothing left to defend the gate. The bacteria responsible are common. They live in everyone's mouth. But in these children, in these conditions, they stop behaving like residents and start acting like invaders. The mortality rate, if left untreated, is 70 to 90%. Not because the bacteria are particularly aggressive, but because the body, in its desperation, begins to devour itself. The immune response becomes a wildfire. White blood cells flood the area, releasing enzymes meant to kill invaders. But there are too many. The enzymes don't stop at bacteria. They digest healthy tissue, muscle, skin, bone. The face becomes a battlefield where both sides are losing. Don't scroll. You need to hear this. There's a photograph from a field hospital in Niger. A girl, maybe 7 years old. Half her face is missing, not torn away, not burned, simply absent, as if someone had taken an eraser to a portrait and removed everything from the nose to the ear. You can see into her mouth from the outside. Her remaining eye looks directly at the camera. not pleading, not even afraid, just existing in a reality that most of us will never touch. The surgeon who treated her said the hardest part wasn't the reconstruction. It was explaining to her that the face she remembered was never coming back, that the mirror would show a stranger, that people would look away, not out of cruelty, but because the human brain rejects what it cannot categorize. The psychological damage runs deeper than the physical wound. These children survive the infection, but inherit a different kind of death, social erasure. In their communities, they are hidden, called cursed. Marriages are canceled, schools refuse entry. Even family members struggle to maintain eye contact. The face is not just flesh, it is identity, communication, the interface between self and world. When it's taken, what remains? Here's what happens at the cellular level. The bacteria release toxins that cause blood vessels to collapse. Tiny clots form in the capillaries feeding the facial tissue. Without blood, without oxygen, the cells begin to die. But they don't die quietly. They rupture, triggering inflammation. More white blood cells arrive. More enzymes are released. The cycle accelerates. Within 48 hours, an area the size of a coin becomes the size of a fist. The skin turns gray, then black. The edges of the wound become sharp, defined, as if drawn with ink. This is called the line of demarcation, the border between the living and the dead. And it's still moving. The treatment, when it arrives in time, is brutal in its simplicity. Cut away everything that's dying. Remove it before the infection spreads deeper, before it reaches the brain. The surgery leaves cavities, empty spaces where a cheek used to be, where lips used to smile. Reconstruction can come later if resources allow. Skin grafts, bone implants. But in the regions where Noma thrives, later often means never. If your pulse just quickened, comment below what you felt. There's a survivor in Ethiopia named Asegedech. When she was 9, Noma took her lower jaw and most of her left cheek. She couldn't eat solid food for 6 years, couldn't speak clearly. When surgeons finally reconstructed her face using bone from her hip, she asked for a mirror. The nurses hesitated. They'd seen this moment before, seen the grief that follows recognition. Asegedech looked for a long time. Then she smiled, or tried to. The muscles didn't quite work right. But she said something that the translator struggled to convey. She said, "I can see myself trying, not succeeding, not healed, trying," as if the effort itself was the face she wanted to show the world. But here's what haunts me about Noma. It shouldn't exist. Not in the 21st century. The disease is entirely preventable. Nutrition, clean water, basic antibiotics. The cost to save a child from this fate is less than what you spent on coffee this week, and yet it persists. 500,000 cases per year, mostly unreported, mostly invisible, mostly children whose faces will never appear in medical journals or awareness campaigns. There's a biological irony here. The face is one of the most vascularized regions of the body, designed to heal itself quickly. But Noma exploits this. The rich blood supply becomes a highway for bacterial spread. The robust immune response becomes a weapon of self-destruction. The body's healing mechanisms turn cannibalistic. And there is another layer. The brain's map of the face persists even when the face itself is gone. Survivors report phantom sensations, feeling their missing cheeks, as the brain struggles to reconcile the body's new reality. I spoke with a reconstructive surgeon who works in Burkina Faso. She showed me before and after photos, but it was the asterisk during asterisk photos that stopped me. The face opened like a book, revealing layers of muscle, fat, bone, and in some cases just absence. She pointed to an image of a boy whose upper jaw had been dissolved. "We rebuilt this," she said, "using his own rib bone and titanium mesh. He can eat now. He can smile, almost. But he'll never look like he did. That boy is gone." Psychological studies of Noma survivors reveal something called identity fracture. They describe themselves as different people. The self that had the original face is gone. The self that exists now is someone new. The narrative of who they are breaks. Building a new narrative around a destroyed face requires a kind of psychological strength most adults struggle to construct. Share this before you forget. The mind erases what it fears. There's a museum in Switzerland, the Noma Relief Museum. It's small, but the centerpiece is a large mirror with a single instruction. Look at your face. Really look. This is the only one you'll ever have. It sounds obvious, but visitors report spending significant time there, studying their own features, touching their cheeks, becoming aware of the mundane miracle of having a face that works. The disease teaches us what we take for granted. We assume the body is on our side, but the body doesn't have loyalty. It has mechanisms, and sometimes those mechanisms betray us. In the final stages, if untreated, Noma can reduce the hardest bones in the body to the consistency of wet chalk. Here's what I can't stop thinking about. The face is how we recognize each other. It's the archive of who we've been and who we're becoming. When Noma takes that, it takes more than tissue. It takes history. It takes recognition. It takes the ability to be seen as you are rather than what happened to you. But what if healing isn't about restoration? What if it's about transformation? The survivors I've met don't mourn symmetry. They talk about function. The ability to eat without pain, to speak without slurring, to laugh without covering their mouths. One man who had 9 surgeries told me, "I used to think I lost my face, but I didn't lose it. It changed. And I changed with it. Now when I look in the mirror, I see someone who survived. I've earned that face." The disease that devoured the face teaches a truth that medicine rarely speaks aloud. The body is not a machine. It's wild, ancient. We live inside it, but we don't rule it. We negotiate. We coexist. And yet these children survive. These faces, broken and remade, persist. They smile with muscles that were never meant to smile. They look at the world with eyes that have seen the border between living and dead drawn across their own reflection, and they continue. So next time you touch your face, feel the warmth of blood beneath the skin, the firmness of bone beneath muscle. Remember that all of this is not guaranteed. The face is not just what you show the world. It's what the world shows you about being human, about vulnerability, and about the strange courage it takes to exist in a body that can betray you, and to show that body anyway. You call it healing. The body calls it adaptation, survival, the negotiation between what was and what remains. The disease devoured the face, but it couldn't devour what made that face human. The trying, the persisting, the looking back at the mirror and choosing every single day to be seen. That's what Noma couldn't take. That's what nothing can. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, please consider sharing it and subscribing for more content that matters.